Right, so this week we've been talking about why garbage smells. And we started the week talking about decomposers. What are decomposers? Remind me. What is a decomposer, Jeremiah?
A decomposer is a little animal that tears apart trash.
Okay, yeah, it's an organism that job is to break down trash or waste of plants and animals that are dead. So those decomposers, those living things come in and they break down the trash. And how do they get their nutrients from that? That's what they eat. They eat on the trash. But how do they eat those? What do they do, DJ?
They absorb it.
They absorb it. Why do they have to absorb it instead of chewing it up? They don't have mouth. They're so small, especially the bacteria, which are the smallest decomposer. The bacteria doesn't have a mouth. So it has to release a chemical that breaks down the waste. And then once it's broken down, it absorbs or takes in all the nutrients from the dead matter or the trash. Then yesterday, you talked about two other kinds of decomposers. On Tuesday, you read about bacteria, which is the smallest. And then yesterday, there were two other kinds of decomposers. What were they, Zyla?
Mold and I don't remember that.
Okay. The other was fungus, and mold is a type of fungus. You also saw the word fungi or fungi in your passage, and that's kind of a funny sounding word, isn't it? It's just the plural. Yeah, it's just the plural form of fungus. So fungus does the same thing that bacteria does. It absorbs the nutrients from dead plants and animals, but they're a little bit different than bacteria, and you read those differences yesterday. So today we're ready for the actual answer to the question of why garbage smells so bad. So I'm going to read you the passage that you have, and then we'll talk about some of the questions that we can answer based on what we know now. Garbage cans are ideal places to find decomposers because they are warm, wet, and full of food. The decomposers have everything they need to eat and grow. And unlike dishes and kitchen counters, garbage cans aren't cleaned with soap and water, so the decomposers aren't in danger of being killed. When decomposers break down garbage into food for themselves, they produce substances that escape into the air as gas. We notice this gas as unpleasant odors, so keep the lid on your trash can. This will be better not only for you, but for the decomposers. It keeps their environment warm and wet. So we talked on Tuesday about bacteria having a hard time growing in places like your refrigerator or an iceberg or in cold environments. Why? Why did we come up with, Tatum?
We came up with that they die in cold.
Yeah,
They die in the cold.
Yeah, it's a lot harder for them to survive in the cold. They thrive or do really well in warm, wet environments. So that's why a garbage can would be an ideal place. It's got trash in it. That's what they eat on. It's warm. And a lot of times it's wet because either
Rain.
it could be rain. It could be that liquid gets thrown in there. Or it might just be that there's some condensation that makes it wet. But that makes it an ideal place. All right, so I'm going to ask you some questions. True or false? When food decomposes, it produces odors. Is that true?
True.
Or false, Maggie?
True.
That is true. That's what happens. As it decomposes, that gas that's released is what smells so bad. All right? True or false? Decomposers grow best in cool, dry places. Zyla?
False.
False. Where do decomposers grow best?
Wet and hot places.
Warm and wet places or hot. Very good. All right. Decomposers turn garbage into larger particles. True or false? Callie, true or false? Decomposers turn garbage into larger particles. Do they make them into bigger particles or smaller particles? Decompose means that it's breaking it down, and if it's breaking down, it's getting smaller. So that's false. Decomposers turn garbage into smaller pieces. Okay? True or false? Rinsing out food containers would make garbage smell worse. True or false? Rinsing out food containers would make garbage smell worse. Tommy? False. It'd make it better if we rinse out and get some of those things that they would eat on. Get rid of those. Okay? Sealing rotten food in plastic bags would make garbage smell better. True or false? What do you think, Aiden?
I mean, it would be true because it'd be kept in a captivity, so it'd smell less.
Exactly. The gases can't escape from that sealed bag, could they? So even though the gases are there, we're not smelling them because they're locked inside that bag. All right? Putting the garbage in a warm place would make it smell better, Ainsley. True or false? Putting the garbage in a warm place. False. Where would it be better to store garbage if it has to sit for a little while? Somewhere warm or somewhere cool? Somewhere cooler than back.
Smell that bad.
That's right. It won't. The decomposers can't survive and thrive as well in the cold environments. All right, so I want you to think about this. Some people mix leaves and grass clippings, like after you've mowed the grass, the clippings that you cut, and leftover food. They mix all those things up, and they keep them to make a mixture that decomposes, which is called compost, and then they use it in their gardens to enrich their soil, to make their soil more nutritious, and so that their plants and crops grow better. Why do you think what do you think that the gardeners could do when they're making that compost to help the decomposers work? If you were making compost out of dead grass or grass clippings, leftover food, leaves, all those things, what are some things that you could do to help those decomposers work and make that compost, Tatum?
Put it in the sun.
Put it out in the sun where it would be warm. What else? Yeah, DJ.
Keep it damp.
Keep it damp. Okay, you'd want it to be in a warm place that's moist. Yes,
Add
ma'am?
worms.
Do what?
You could add worms.
Okay, you could. Worms do some to help to speed up that process. So we would definitely want to keep it in a warm and moist place. Would it have plenty of food if that mix was made up of leaves, grass clippings, and leftover food? Would there be plenty of things for decomposers to eat on? Yeah, absolutely. All right. You've just got a couple of minutes until time for us to line up for lunch. So as soon as you come back in, I want you to get your science done. It won't take you long, but you're not going to have enough time to get logged in and to get it done right now.